What I'd most like is for this. First of all, what I'd really like to ask you, I've never asked this before, what is a Dharma talk or a Teisho for you? What is it? I mean, what as a listener, what is it that you want or expect or like or don't like about a Teisho? I want you to join in.
I want inspiration.
You want inspiration? Okay.
Juice.
Pardon?
Juice.
Juice, okay. That's what I'm afraid of, yeah. Anyone else? Inspiration, juice.
The answer.
The answer.
Learn something.
Learn something, yeah.
I think it's something to scramble your head.
Pardon?
Whatever you want from it usually ends up scrambling my head.
Oh, I see. So your head whatever the Teisho is, your head gets scrambled.
But
Sometimes there's clarity.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And
Okay.
a few new jokes.
A few new jokes. Okay.
An opportunity to listen to someone else, except for what's going on in my own head.
Oh, okay. That's a good idea. Yeah. That's a nice thing. Anything else?
Chance to catch up.
Pardon?
Chance to catch up.
Catch up on.
Well, you sometimes might say, I've just come back from America or something.
Oh, I see. Catch up on the person's news.
Yeah.
The person giving the talk's news.
Well, often
Okay.
they may.
You know all about me, Ishi. There's no news that I can
Well, I'm never hearing you've gone to a foreign country and I never even knew.
Okay, thank
I
you.
think for me, sorry to keep talking, I've been trying to be quiet. I don't know how you know what's going on in my mind sometimes, because you happen to somehow pick whether they're universal truths or whatever.
Okay.
They
Okay.
pinpoint something that.
So you and I are in the same club. We don't know what's going on in your mind. Okay, thank you. No, that often happens for us all, I think. In any Dharma talk, it seems like the person speaking is speaking to us. It's strange, that, isn't it? How that happens. Okay, there's one other question I want to ask you before I go on, but I just wanted to kind of place myself in the context of the practice and what it means to me. And I'll just read you what I've written. We have it pinned on the notice board at the Zendo in Liverpool, and it took me a while. It kind of encapsulates where I come from in the practice, and this is what I've written. The heart of the Zen tradition is Zazen, a form of meditation. It is the practice of being what we are, of allowing, permitting, opening ourselves to ourselves. Our aspiration is to open the path to transformation. To becoming comfortable in who we are, we enter wholeheartedly into embracing our lives and cultivating the courage to live freely and creatively, and ultimately to manifesting compassion for all sentient beings. So that's my aspiration, and it's pretty unreachable, but that's what makes it interesting, I think. So that's the context in which I'm coming from. But the other question I wanted to ask you in that context, because it doesn't mention a word which is often bandied about in Zen or in Buddhism as well, and it's a word that I know Tenshin Roshi definitely doesn't use, and I've used it occasionally, but I tend not to use it. But this week a few people have asked me about it, and do you know what the word is? Enlightenment. Yeah, this word that's thrown around, and I wondered what you thought enlightenment meant.
Different levels.
Pardon?
Different levels of enlightenment.
Different levels of enlightenment, okay. But you do see it there are levels, yeah?
Yeah.
And how would you categorize a level? Are they horizontal levels or vertical levels, or in every way?
Yeah.
Okay. So you do see there's a kind of ascending level of enlightenment. We use that word, and as I say, you know, I'll wash my mouth out with soap later, but for now, just to hear your. So anyone else on what do you?
Awareness.
Awareness, okay. Enlightenment means awareness.
Living your life.
Living your life, yeah, okay. And is there any? Do you attach any adjectives to that, or adverbs, or Just living your life.
Yeah, living your life.
Okay. Could you just say a bit more? But what does that mean for you to live your life?
Just living your life.
Okay.
Day by day, moment by moment.
Okay. But unless we're dead, we inevitably, all of us have to live our lives, don't we? I mean, and there could be suffering in there and discomfort.
Well,
And
includes everything.
includes everything. Does it include the wish to change?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. Thanks. Anyone else? Enlightenment. What does it mean for you?
Exploration.
Exploration. Okay. Thank you.
I think what's easier for me to understand is awake.
Awake.
Fully
Okay.
awake.
Fully awake. Okay. Yeah.
I suppose, in a way, I don't know, because I hear very simple explanations like, you know, be awake, live your life, be present, and then you kind of get that koan you're completely stuck on. And it's,
I get that,
I
Colin.
get koans that I'm completely stuck on. It's almost like at some point there are huge shifts and things changing and big things happening.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know.
You don't know. Okay. Good.
For me, it's the attempt to bring some intimacy and freshness into my life.
Intimacy and freshness. Yeah.
Whenever I can.
Whenever you
try
can.
to do that.
Okay. Okay.
I have a problem with the word, and when I think about what the problem is, it's because it's a noun.
Because it's now.
It's a noun.
Yeah. It's a noun. Yeah. Exactly. I was
Feels
going to
like-
speak about
feels
that.
like
Yeah.
it's an idea, it's a goal,
Mm.
it's something I'm working towards.
Mm.
And actually, I mean, maybe when I started first trying to sit, that's definitely, well, I think probably definitely that's how I saw it, but increasingly it's not a noun, it's a verb.
Yeah.
And you know, it's about as Karen was saying, living your life moment by moment.
Yeah.
And reflecting on that and looking at that.
Thank you, Tony. That's exactly what I was coming to. Yeah. It's not a noun. It's not a noun. Yeah. But anyone else?
Could it, I don't know the answer to the question, but could it be a kind of remembering?
What do you think?
It just occurred to me that maybe it is a kind of remembering, a recalling and a remembering in the sense of putting the members back together again.
You know, I agree with you to some degree. Too. There is. I guess there is a sense of a memory of it being a home sometimes in our lives, and it feels the right place to be.
Remembering a true nature, I suppose.
Pardon?
Remembering a true nature is sort of what I was sort of thinking.
Okay, remembering your true nature. Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
I was just thinking about the word itself and taking it apart. And, you know, when we chant identity of relative and absolute, we talk about lightness, light and dark.
Mm.
And I think it's hard for many of us to not look at our lives as this is the lighter part of it, or light, and this is darker or more difficult. And when you take the word apart a little bit, you could say that you could be I could be living in light every moment, no matter what happens or
Okay.
doesn't happen. And that seems to be a very difficult practice.
That's a nice thing to say. Yeah. We could live in the sense that we were in the light, as it were, even when we were in the dark. I think that's what you mean, is it? Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, in a similar way, I thought you were going to say just what I was going to say, but it's slightly different. I see it in a very literal sense as well, as enlightening
Yeah.
the here and now.
Okay.
So shedding light on the present.
Okay.
Being aware.
Okay. Thank you. Well, my sense of it is the same, really. I agree with what Tony said. That enlightenment implies some place to arrive at, rather than a process. And in a lighter vein, what enlightenment means for me is, one, it means to lighten up. I don't mean, a spotlight light, I mean just to lighten up about life, you know, not to be so identified with it, so identified with myself, just to feel a bit kind of lighter on my feet. And the other thing is to shine a light on myself. So, you know, you remember, I don't know, I think all garage mechanics wear head torches now. But they used to have those light bulbs in a socket with like a cage around, and they'd clamp it by a bulldog clip to the bonnet, and they'd lighten up the engine cut so they could see what to work on. And that's what it feels like to me. It feels like shining a light in just to see my own process, really. But certainly there are in some traditional writings and actual traditions, there is an emphasis on they have a particular view of what, in their terms, they call enlightenment, which is my understanding, is to really deep, right into the bone, to really feel at ease about life and death. You know, to really feel at ease about it, to really know that you're not only the leaf on the tree, but you're also the tree. You know, you're not only the wave, you're also the ocean. To really, really know that. I think, you know, in that is perhaps the ultimate place where we can feel comfort and ease. But in terms of our day-to-day practice, and in terms of what's the right word? An available aspiration with that as our, you know, hopefully before we're on our deathbed, to enlighten our lives and to look in at our own process, our own conditioning, our own attitude, our own stuckness. And that seems to me a valid way to describe enlightenment. Or how do we use it as a verb? Enlightening. Enlightening, yeah. So in that context, and in what I said about Zazen and why we sit and why I sit, we can see that all the ordinary everyday things that come up for us, like jealousy, resentment, anger, the three poisons, all those things, instead of seeing them as a difficulty, or they are a difficulty, but instead of seeing them as something that are bad news in our lives, we can really see them as an opportunity to look at our own responses to them and to use them as tools, as learning tools. And I think if we can do that, then that's enlightenment as well. You know, we can make that flip to look at these issues and problems rather than being something that are going to down us, to something that we can grow from. That seems to me to be an enlightened view as well. And of course the best place to do that, or the best place that I've found, and maybe you found because you're here, and the best place according to the Zen tradition is on the cushion, where we can allow everything to happen. We can even kill people on the cushion and it's okay. We can allow all our emotions to arise and allow them full expression. We don't need to be attached to them. We can see them and look at them and let them pass. Okay, I want now to talk about Sesshin. I haven't really talked about Sesshin before because we flipped things around this year, and Roshi normally gives the first talk and I give the second talk. And Roshi's often dealt with issues around Sesshin, and things are settled by Wednesday. I think most of us are. Well, when do you know when the most pragmatically just starts to feel settled and like you're not going to catch the next bus home? Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, Wednesday night, Saturday. Okay. So I just wanted to say, for all of us really, even for the old timers and for people who are new to the practice, and there aren't many. I mean, this may fall on stony ground because a lot of you have been coming to retreat for quite a long time, many years, and I will say something about that later. But so forgive me if you've been through all these stages, but to come on Sesshin, Roshi and I completely understand. It requires a really investment of your time, an investment of energy, an investment of money, separation from family or people you love. So to come on retreat is a really big thing. And I think legitimately, in a way, if we're making these sacrifices, when we arrive on Sesshin, we have expectations about how it's going to be. And I think generally, certainly when we start practice, our expectations that we will find some peace, we'll find some reduction in our stress levels, we'll find some increased creativity in our lives, which is often what I find at the end of Sesshin, and some answers to life's problems. That's kind of a broad stroke of why we may come on Sesshin. And then what often happens, when we do arrive on Sesshin is the exact opposite. We're in a different bed, we're with different people, we're in a different situation, and if it can feel stressful, we've lost our old routines. Although I know on this session we do read, but often on a very strict session we wouldn't read, we wouldn't having our mobile phones on, Joe. So we arrive and things aren't to our liking. That can happen, and your brain and my brain start to chatter and complain. Why does that? Why do we have this kind of unease to begin with on Sesshin? Do you think when we start? Pardon? Expectation. You've been reading my notes. That's exactly what I've written here. Problems arise out of expectations, yeah. And yet, isn't it true that in our own daily lives, the sense of separation that we might feel is because of our expectations of the way things should be. And yet we come on Sesshin in order to experience a different way of being, if you like, a change of way of being, and yet we bring ourselves with us, and so we bring these expectations, so we bring disappointment. So Sesshin is a fantastic opportunity to drop your expectations and just allow whatever happens to happen, and if you can, to live out of the present moment. It's a fantastic opportunity to let everything drop and live out the present moment. And so even if you have serious pain in your legs or your back or your head or whatever arises for you when you've been sitting for a long time, even that can be useful because it can take you out of the loop of your thoughts. You can be in the moment of the pain. And I'm not a sadist, by the way, but I know that all of us suffer some pain sometimes, and we wonder why. May I just reassure you that in 30 years of practice, I don't know anybody that's ever suffered permanent damage through sitting. I know there are people who have, but I haven't experienced it. That's all I'm saying, So you do have a pain in your leg. I know often the fear is about that this could be something that's going to have a long-term effect. It's never happened for me. Okay. So, here we are, all arriving at Sesshin, wanting to experience liberation from greed, anger and ignorance, and what happens is they often all come up. And that's really what it's about, that's what Zen's about. It gives you the space to allow these conditions to arise. And even more than that, as you sit, the quietness, the pain that you may be suffering, they can also trigger thoughts, emotions that you haven't thought about for a long time that can just arise. And then it can be our natural inclination to blame the situation for that. And very often the person that gets the hit for that is either me or Roshi, can be, or somebody else in the Sangha, or somebody who's walking too slow in Kinhin, or somebody who's not fast enough in the dinner queue. All those. Has anybody, by the way, has anybody got any particular irritations they want to share with us about Sesshin? It's good to have it out on the open, on the table.
I just find people are talking a lot more than I expected.
Okay, people talk more than you expect, yeah. Francis, I know that. I always worry about you on that one. I know that's hard for you. Anyone else brave enough to express their irritations?
People who come up for seconds before everyone else has had first.
Okay, people who go for seconds before everybody's had a first serving, okay.
People who insist on ringing the bell when...
Pardon?
People who insist on ringing the bell when you bow to your cushion instead of just when you bow out at dancing.
Okay. Thanks, Yuish. I knew some form issue would be a problem for you.
No chocolate.
No chocolates. Okay.
Noted.
Pardon? Was that a private joke? Are you going
I just said noted.
No.
Noted.
No Ted.
No Ted.
Noted.
She provides the chocolate. She fails to provide the chocolate.
Ah, okay. Sorry. Is my difficulty with hearing an irritation as well?
Slamming doors.
Pardon?
Slamming doors.
Slamming doors. You know, I had one of the worst confrontations on Sesshin through slamming doors. Years and years ago, it was before I'd received transmission from Roshi, and I was kind of doing the job that John and Jez now do. And I was doing it on my own. I was really busy all the time. And I've forgotten his name now. A guy who he went to live in Holland, and then I think then he left. Anybody remember his name? A small Irish chap? Anybody remember him? Anyway, he came up to me on the second day. Pardon?
Paddy boy.
Paddy, you got it. Yeah. Paddy boy, yeah. He came up to me on the second day. He was really upset. He said, you keep banging your door. And I said, it can't be me. I'm hardly ever in my room. He said, well, it's definitely your door, and you keep banging it. And off he strode, really upset. And then on the next day, he said, I've already asked you, Dave, about that door, and you keep banging that bloody door. I said, Paddy, it's not me. He said, well, who is it then? So, Thursday in the week, finally get some time off. I go and have a sleep in my room. I'm lying in my room, the door's shut. Blow me down, the door doesn't open, and bang. And it's what happens is the window was open, and every time somebody opened their door, or the front door was open, it caused a draft, and my door banged. And so, it was the empty boat syndrome. So I went to see Paddy to tell him the story. But he was already so kind of, his view of me was also all completely committed already that I was a prick, that he couldn't come off it, even though, was it my fault? I don't, to this day I'm not sure whether I owed him an apology, but yeah. So thank you for the intro to that story. Yeah, banging doors. Yeah, if anybody's got banging doors, my suggestion is to get a small towel from the washroom and wrap it around the door handle, or just throw a towel over the top of the door.
It is a kind of example of being aware of every possibility, like the window's open, that affects the door.
Yeah.
So, of course, we want the window open so that we get air.
Yeah.
But then somehow there's not the thinking through or noticing that this is the possibility of what could happen.
I know, we're all lacking in awareness. Okay, and this is the question I really like to ask on Sesshin, because I'm always curious about it. Do you come, and there's no judgment in me, there's no right or wrong in this, I'm just really curious. Do you come to Sesshin because you want to function better in life, as it were. You know, like using Sesshin as a band-aid to help you get by, to make life a bit more comfortable, a bit easier? Or do you come to Sesshin because you're really interested in the bottom line issue of life and death? Let's put it that way. Or fear of extinction of the ego, or the physical body. Where do you lie on that spectrum?
Can you not have both?
Pardon?
Can you not have both?
You can have both, yeah, for sure, and one doesn't exclude the other. But some people have a burning desire to answer the great issue, and other people want to ease their lives.
But are the two not so intimately related that it's hard to separate?
Are they for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I come for the bottom issues, but to do that, I have to do things with my life to make me able to practice when I come home.
Okay. So out of looking at the real basic issue of life, there is the side benefits of feeling calmer and more ease in your life because you sit?
I think it's the other way around. In order to be able to grapple with a big matter, I have to be calm enough in my daily life to do it.
Ah, okay. Okay. That's interesting. Because for me, if I'm feeling calm and easy in my daily life, I'm kind of released for a while from the big question.
Yeah, but you can be calm. But you have to be calm. You don't have to be easy. I'm not talking about easy, but being calm.
Do you?
Yeah. Be settled enough.
Okay. For you, that's true, yeah? Yeah. Okay, thank you.
I think one of the reasons it makes me slightly more bearable to live with for others.
Okay.
And then halfway through a session, I often think, why the hell did I want to come in the first place? I can't remember.
Only 3 days left. Anyone else?
To go out of my depth.
Okay, so you like to get into a kind of place where don't feel in control. Would that be right? Yeah, great, good. I like that as well. Yeah.
For me, it's that big question, the big issue thing, and I'm beginning to think, well, can I resolve it in one big go? Can it just be dealt with, and is this the session I'm going to deal with it? Am I really facing up to that? Just pretending coming in, I'm not really facing up to that. Should I really just go for that? And the question, well, can it be done? Or is this just part of a process of doing that on an ongoing basis in my life? Because I certainly come here, I invest in this, and in the back of your mind you think, well, I could be having a lie in now, I could be going for a walk or doing something different, and I constantly do this, so it's obviously doing something for me.
Yeah.
Just wondering whether for me, the question is, am I facing up to them big issues, or can it be done?
So can I just clarify that then for myself? So what you're saying is that there are benefits to coming in your life, but also within that you question whether there's a possibility
of resolving the great matter.
Yeah. That's what.
And if there is, am I not actually grasping it and saying, "Come on, do this, stop messing about."
Okay. So you carry the doubt that Keith, in this lifetime, is able to settle a principal issue for him in terms of life and death.
Yeah.
I'm being a bit dramatic, but but let's put it in.
Maybe that's a cop out on my part, and maybe I should just go for it, sort of thing.
I don't think so. But if the question's burning enough, I imagine you will choose the latter. Yeah.
I think you almost forgot what the question was now. I think the two things that we talked about at the start are inevitably the same thing, in the sense that if we're practicing on a moment-to-moment basis, then where that leads to is it's not a question really. It's just a matter of dealing with each moment. In a sense.
Sure. Sure.
And there may be some positive spin-offs, or we may get to a solution. I don't know. It's not an issue if we're focusing on where we are at present.
I agree with you. I mean, if we are able to live moment by moment, in the absolute moment, as it were, on a moment-to-moment basis, then none of these questions arise. But that is the place that most of us, some of us can, some of the time, live in that place. But a lot of us don't a lot of the time. And how do we get there? You know, how do we get there? And some people are satisfied with a kind of band-aid that temporarily allows them to be in that place, and then they lose it, and then they come back for more. And then there's other people who really want to settle it once and for all. You know, it's exemplified not so much in the Zen tradition, but kind of in the yoga tradition. You know, where yoga, the whole point, you know, the whole origin of the word is union with God. But a lot of people go on an afternoon or a weekend or an evening basis because it helps them feel better. They're not thinking about a union with God.
But in answer to the question about why do we come on Sesshin, it seems to me that this is an opportunity to focus on that.
For sure, yeah. And then coming back to your point here about wanting to be a better person in you know, when you leave, how many days weeks does it last? I'm curious, how long do you feel that you benefit?
So I keep coming back for more, obviously.
It works, okay, good. So we can keep, as long as we keep the gaps, you'll be a bearable human being, yeah?
I'm running out of life.
You're running out of life? Yeah. Oh yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? You're running out, yeah.
I sense, well, for me anyway, it's like a good foundation.
Yeah.
Wherever it takes you. We're talking about the big matter or whatever. I'm not really concerned with that. I'm just concerned with that foundation of where it takes you.
Okay. So this provides a kind of kicking off platform for you.
Yeah.
Place to stand to step out into the rest of your life.
A base.
Yeah. Okay. Before I move on, I just one other way to look at the practice and Sesshin is that it gives us the opportunity to learn to embody all the fears, all the doubts, all the insecurity that arises around impermanence, to really embrace that. It gives us that chance. And my own experience is, unless we consciously choose to do that, then the great life or nature or the universe, whatever phrase you want to use, comes and requires it of us in a moment of crisis. So it's almost like, you know, by being part of a practice and doing Sesshin, we give ourselves some strength, some basis, some place to move out from and to be in when crisis hits. And crisis that always hits at some point, you know. So for me, it's kind of maybe it's another search for security, you know. You could even, but practice possibly gives us the strength to preempt the crises that, not preempt, but deal with the crises that will arrive in our lives in a better way, in a stronger way, like, or in a way that's more supportive for other people.
It seems like it brings us back to the Four Noble Truths.
Yeah.
Because life is full of suffering, and no matter how much we rail and rave or cry, it's still going to be.
Still going to be there.
Unless something in us.
Yeah. It's a bastard, isn't it?
Actually changes and stops doing all the things that I do to kind of avoid it or fix it or change it, and allow myself to just be with it. And the pain in the knees or the pain in the back is like such a perfect moment of suffering, and yet as soon as we stand up, it's gone. So what is that?
Thank you. The perfect moment of suffering. You sound very Catholic. I think we should all get. Yeah, we should all get. Yeah, the perfect moment of suffering. You're very Catholic. Yeah. I'm going to tell you a story in a second, but I just finally wanted to read you something from a talk given by Tangen Harada Roshi a long time ago, and it was directed specifically to people who've been in practice for a long time. So I just wanted to read you what he said. In the context, I think he was talking about people that dip in and dip out of practice, and he says, you have to continue steadily, not throwing cold water into the pot. Some of you will go for years using Sesshin in this way, until you can no longer make it to another Sesshin. Don't make the mistake of thinking you can always do Sesshin, and that you can always do it strongly. Don't make the mistake of thinking that you will always have the opportunity to hear the Buddha's teachings, or that your bodhisattva fire will always burn brightly. You have no way of knowing what will come up to deter you from Dharma practice. Your world can change in a flash. I hope that you can steadily and strongly continue your practice, but I know the causes and conditions, the change of circumstances will happen and will take your opportunities away, and they can come any time. So, for me, when time swiftly passes by and opportunity is lost, perfectly embodies that. And for all of us, we're all getting older, but for those who've got rather old than other folk, this, it's a really important message that let's practice while we can, because physically we may not be able to. Okay, I'm going to tell you a story now. That's a great story. I'm telling you the story because I want you to help me understand it. I think I've told you it before, but it's within I was going to talk about the spiritual journey, and this is a story from the Jewish tradition. And this is the way it goes. In a story from the Jewish tradition, which is also told in the Muslim tradition and many others, a poor tailor from the provinces has a dream that a treasure is buried underneath a bridge leading to a castle. The tailor packs his bags and journeys to the capital city. He approaches the bridge he saw in his dream, but there is a soldier standing guard. For long hours the tailor stands gazing at the bridge, not knowing what to do. Finally the soldier asks him why he has been standing there so long, and the innocent and honest tailor tells him the story. That he had the dream. The soldier laughs. Foolish Jew, he says, believing the fantasies of sleep. Let me tell you the difference between you and me. I too have had a dream. I dreamt that under the stove of a Jewish tailor in the provinces was a buried treasure. You travel all this way at such cost of time and effort chasing the dreams for nothing. I, on the other hand, know a dream to be a dream and don't waste my time. The tailor promptly went home, dug under his stove, found the treasure, and lived out the rest of his days a prosperous man.
What does that mean?
Exactly. So the soldier sent the tailor home, and in fact there was a treasure.
Dreams do come true.
Pardon?
Dreams do come true.
Say again.
Dreams do come true. Maybe it's not his dream.
I'm really sorry, I couldn't hear that. Apologies.
Dreams do come true.
Dreams do come true. Yeah, dreams do come true. But who was the wiser? Was the soldier staying at home, or the tailor going off looking for a treasure?
You don't know if the soldier then dug under the bridge.
The soldiers are dug under the bridge, of course, yeah.
That's what he dreams.
If
he'd not gone off looking, he wouldn't have found what was at home.
Okay, so if he'd not gone off in the search, he wouldn't have found what was at home. Right. Yeah, yeah, okay.
Under the fire too.
And under the fire, yeah, yeah. But what's the real, or what is the intended meaning of this story, do you think?
Treasure's right here.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, most of us, and I include myself, most of us don't pay enough attention and don't appreciate enough the vastness of our own lives and the opportunities that we have and the amazing freedom in a way that we have. And we feel restricted and tied by our own conditioning. It's a wonderful phrase, the Gateless Gate. I mean, all of us create these gates. And they're gateless. We created them, and we're scared to go through them. It's like the prisoner who's in a cell, and he desperately wants to see outside, and there's a window up on the wall, and he manages to leap up. Every day he leaps up and grabs the windowsill, and he can just kind of pull himself up to look outside. And then one day he drops, falls to the ground, rolls over, hits the door, and realizes it's open. And off he goes. And a lot of us, our lives are like that. I definitely go through phases of feeling my life's kind of locked in, realizing that I've created the lock myself. So how do we appreciate the vastness of our lives, and how do we just to appreciate our lives? How do we do that? How do we appreciate our lives? Anyone?
Becoming more aware.
More aware, yeah.
Through meditation.
Thank you. More aware.
By actually being present in each moment that we are living.
Okay. By being present in each moment, yeah.
I see myself be present some of the time when I like it, and then other times I'm there but I'm not there, and that's something that I really work with, because I run away from the moments I don't want.
Yeah, it's definitely easy to appreciate and embrace your life fully when things are going well. When things aren't going well, it's tough. Can you do that? Do you feel like you can do that? Do you feel like you can really embrace your life when things aren't going perfectly for you?
Sometimes for short periods.
Yeah.
It depends how bad it is.
Yeah.
But I also find that one of the barriers for me is kind of pretending that it's not that bad. To really be there, I have to fully accept how bad it is.
Okay. I'm nearly finished. I just want to, because when we say every day is a good day, we're not saying every day is a good day. We're saying every day is, in a way, is a perfect day. Every day is exactly as it is. It's arisen perfectly in a way. It can be no other way. Out of all the things that have happened in your life and has happened in the world, this is where we are. Every snowflake falls on the right spot. So your life is completely appropriate to you. Who else's life can it be? The Buddha says, I think what he said that being a warrior in your own life is like a single warrior fighting an army of 20,000. Can you be a warrior in your own life? It feels like that sometimes to me. We have to be a warrior in a way. And by a warrior, I mean not a warrior in the sense of being as hard as nails, but being a warrior in the sense of being open to your own vulnerability. The opposite in a way. Being brave enough to embrace your own fears, weaknesses and vulnerabilities, because it's easy to embrace your own strength. Okay. Have we got 5 minutes? Have you just 5 minutes before 1 o'clock? If anybody, incidentally, just let me say, we've only got 5 minutes, so I'll shut up quickly. But when you ask a question or make a comment or give feedback, that's, you know, what you're doing is a really kind thing, because you're allowing all of us to understand how everybody else thinks and sees and experiences the world, which is a gift. So, you know, when you ask a question or make a comment, it's a gift. So you know, be brave.
Well, it's more of a comment than a question, I'm afraid. When you first asked the question of enlightenment, my answer, you didn't see my hand up, was in order to, or in other words, it was about why do we come here and what is enlightenment. And my comment was going to be to perceive things more clearly exactly as they are.
Okay.
But also I was going to say the word to appreciate things exactly as they are. Then I realised that appreciate and perceive, we almost have the same meaning, and then you started to bring in appreciation of our life. So it does seems to me that appreciating and perceiving
Appreciation is
the same thing.
so.
Appreciating and perceiving.
It's perceiving.
And perceiving. Appreciating and perceiving.
Okay.
They're almost the same thing.
Almost the same thing. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, that's true. That's really true. Thanks, Ish. Yeah.
And just say something in relation to the story, and coming on Sesshin for me is, I suppose, constantly revisiting and trying to explore this crazy idea that you're sort of sitting on it, you know.
Yeah.
It's under the fire at home.
Yeah.
It's in your road. You're actually here on it all the time. Yeah. And it seems a bizarre cuckoo idea that you know, the perfect, because we know it isn't perfect, doesn't feel perfect,
no.
In a rational world, yeah. But the idea of a perfect moment to transform is always now. Yeah. So that's.
Oh, I got you. That's lovely. So the perfect moment to transform is always now.
Is always in it.
That's great. Yeah. That's great. We should have that. It's a byline underneath. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.